All right. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Every time we say the pledge, I want to start saying at preschool, they would say, good morning to you. Good morning to you. We're all in our places with bright smiling. So,
They play ball.
hey, you know what? There's no rule that says that after the pledge, we can't say these things. Play ball.
True.
All right, let's do our roll call. Gabriel Sook, present. Aaron Montano, Bryn King,
Present.
Bill Lee, absent. Rebecca Boucher, absent. Mark Masick,
Present.
Terry Frazier. And let's see. Well, Dan's not on, but maybe he'll join us. So, all right. Thanks, guys. Consent agenda. I don't think we need anything here.
No, just if people have questions, I did just get, so the packet I just sent out has the July bank rec also. Because the audit, we're running a little bit behind. But if you will want to look at those items that are on the consent item, we have one bar, and then minute. I didn't include the minutes in that packet. I don't think. Did you have the minutes, Gabe?
I can pull them. They're up there online. I can pull them and send them real quick just so we have that. I don't know. Do you have the minutes, Ben? Did you?
It was from the
Ben. Did you? Okay, I can find it. I remember seeing.
It was sent on one of the later emails or the earlier ones.
Okay.
Is it sent from Katie? Yeah, go to Katie's most recent one.
Here, I got it. So what? Yeah, I got it. I'll get these to Joe to put up. I don't know why we have to always. Okay, and then here's the minutes. Sorry, I'll get this. All right, I'm sending the July minutes out, but I think now that you guys have them, is there any questions about July minutes or this agenda for today? All right. So, does anyone have a motion to approve the June and July 2025 bake recs and check registers along with the August 2025 agenda and the July 2025 minutes? Oh, wait, sorry. Are we going to approve the bars in this too?
Yeah, the one bar we have.
So we've got one bar 002-I 21100. Is that anything of significant note?
I think that's just, so that is just an adjustment. I'll go refresh my memory. But that is just an adjustment to that fund because they did a reconciliation for all schools based on the number of kids that participated last year and the amount of funding they have this year.
Okay.
And so we got an increase of $161,000.
I'll take it. Okay. So, I guess I would motion to approve the August 2025 agenda, the July 2025 minutes, and approve the June and July 2025 bake reconciliations and check registers, as well as this one bar. Thank you, Bryn. Any further questions, discussion, concerns? No? All right. Let's vote. Terry,
I,
Bryn,
Aye.
Aaron, Ben,
Aye.
and I vote aye. The ayes take it. All right. Transportation policy change. Julianne, could you maybe walk us through this a little bit? This is the Mhm.
So the one change, well, I guess minor change would be that, if a student misses 11 consecutive days of riding the bus, that the student can be removed from the bus route and placed on the waiting list.
Hmm.
So
Do-
right now.
Do we have a waiting list, or is that like that?
Yes. that's a waiting list.
Okay.
Well, it depends.
Does it count if they go one way?
No, as long as they're riding. What's happening is that there's kids on a wait list and there are kids who are signed up. And so we
Hmm.
have to, and 11 days is the cutoff. If you miss school for 11 days, that's the number that you are disenrolled.
Mm.
But if you are riding the bus, or you're on the bus, but you don't ride for 11 days, then, we would remove that student, put that student on the wait list so that someone else who is intending to ride. And Dan Hill said he's in the waiting.
Oh, sorry.
How many people are on the waiting list?
It depends on the route. I don't
Okay.
know right now, and we just got another bus from Cimarron. They released it back to the head to give to us, so we just received it. We just put on the new lettering and the zonar tags and registration, so.
So we have enough buses now?
Should have enough buses. Well, depending on the routes, right?
Yeah.
Because it's like, when you have to go all the way down to Zuni and
Mm.
Springs and all the way down, and then a couple runs in the city and then out in either direction, Jamestown.
Yeah.
Do we have a limitation on how far we go out with the buses?
20, believe it's 20 or 25 miles. It's in that manual.
Okay, I didn't see it in there.
So it's 20 or 25 miles, I believe, but we go all the way to the Zuni border.
Okay,
So basically, what we want to do is not have an empty spot that's not being utilized by somebody who wants to ride. So after 11 days, but that's, we'll be contacting them. It's not like, oh, it's my 11 days, you're removed, you don't get to ride anymore. It's like we contact families and let them know. And if that student is excused from school, that's different. It's just no show, no word. They're doing other things. But we just don't want an empty spot sitting there when someone else needs a ride. And also, one other thing that we want to add to the parent and guardian responsibilities, that parent or guardian will not be permitted on the bus, nor will they be transported to and from the school on a bus. with Permission from the transportation director.
Hmm.
So it's just students only being transported.
And who is our transportation director?
He-
Okay. And I saw early on, it seems like at least on the red route, we had a second person. Was that just for like the first week, or is there a staff member going on the bus every day?
A driver and an attendant.
Okay. Okay.
And sometimes there's more than one if it's a special ed
Okay.
student who needs more support.
Great. So the big difference is this 11-day rule. And they've all been given this, so everybody knows. Right. Okay, so they'll be given the updated once it's approved.
Sometimes they don't reach, they don't.
Yeah.
through, and so I just want to have a mechanism to say, you can't just have a spot and hold a spot and not let other people ride.
Yeah.
Who need the transportation.
That sounds great. Awesome. Does anybody have any other questions or anything they need to know about the transportation policy change?
No,
All right. Somebody like to offer a motion?
I motion to approve the transportation policy change.
Thank you, Ben.
I'll second.
Thank you, Terry. All right. Terry, how do you vote?
Aye.
Bryn, Aaron, Ben,
Aye.
and I vote aye. All right. Okay, next item. I'm actually going to ask that we table this item just until we go. I want to do this together with the committee talk because it ties directly into that. So let's just, do we have to vote to table that, or can we just?
Yeah.
Okay. let me just table item number 6 for right now. I will motion to table item 6 and pick it back up again when we get through the rest of our work. Do I have a second? Thank you, Aaron. Terry, how do you vote? Bryn? Aaron? Ben?
Aye.
All right, and I also vote aye. Okay, next item is our handbook policy change. Julianne, I would turn that over to you again.
Hopefully you got a chance to review it. Anything that's highlighted was a change. There are minor changes like no hoodies. There's nothing really extreme in the handbook. The only other thing, depending on, this is the, says handbook policy change, but we have 2 handbooks in addition to the transportation one. It's the family one.
So I maybe sent that one too.
And family one, we need to also add, there's, verbiage for the SB 163, which is the tribal regalia at graduation ceremonies, which hasn't been something we needed to worry about till this year, but, so
What does that mean?
it means, well, I'll read you what the policy says. That cultural attire is valued, encouraged, and permitted at both the robing ceremony and graduation as meaningful representation of students' heritage and identity. Students may incorporate traditional clothing or accessories that honor their cultural background while ensuring that standard regalia remains visible. Hozho Academy recognizes the importance of cultural expression and seeks to create inclusive and celebratory environment for all graduates. So basically, some schools were saying that Native American students could not wear certain things, jewelry or something on the outside of their gowns. And so SB 163 was passed so that schools cannot stop students from wearing their tribal regalia. So that's the verbiage that Dan Hill sent in accordance to that. And then there are other elements of SB 163 that are already incorporated in the handbook, but this piece about the regalia specifically for graduation was not in the handbook. So we need to add that. And then all the other additions have all been highlighted, and hopefully you've had a chance to review those.
It didn't look like a ton of major stuff.
No, it's just
Yeah. And by being enrolled, they are agreeing to this. The handbook, is that?
so it's the board policy. So yes, I would say that once the student is enrolled, this is the policy. For
Okay. Because this also like spells out our disciplinary stuff.
So parents understand what the disciplinary process is. And then there's the employee handbook, which spells out all of the rights and responsibilities of staff.
Okay, great.
I got a question on the grading scales. It says that a minimum passing score will be 60, grades 11 through 12 or 7 through 12. And then below that it says F is below 65. So is there?
Are you looking at page
discrepancy?
36?
Yeah, I think that's just a type.
That's just a typo there, okay.
60 is the
Si-
page 35.
Yeah, 36 and 37, bottom, or 36 and top.
Right.
Okay, yeah, so it's there's it's in the scale, like the chart, yeah.
I mean, below it, 60.
Below 60 is an F, okay, not the 65, okay. Yeah, I was just curious about that.
We'll fix that too.
Okay. Does anybody else have any questions, concerns, or on these the handbook policy change? No?
Nope.
Okay. I'll entertain a motion to approve the handbook policy change as outlined in the document and including that change to the grade, the typo on the grade chart.
My motion to approve the handbook policy change, including the typo.
Thank you. We have a second? Thank you, Bryn. All right, Terry, Bryn, Aaron, Ben, and I vote aye. All right, motion passes. Next item is an LPA or the LPA or is this you, Katie?
That's Dan.
Or Dan?
Dan's
Oh, Dan?
It's Dan, but I mean, and we may, and Dan, you know more than I do. We may not have anything. I just put it on there just in case we did.
Okay. Dan, do you have anything?
Yeah, I sent it over to Kyle and Julianne. I mean, there's still a couple of edits that we have to do. So I don't know, Julianne and Kyle, if you're comfortable with us just presenting it, and I think we could approve it with the authority to fill in those details, or we could table it and do a special meeting to approve it. I'll to kind of take the board's direction on that.
I mean, I'm ready to hear about it, and I think I would just leave that up to you if you think we're
I saw it come from my email today.
Okay.
But it was this afternoon. I didn't have a chance to read it at all, so I know it's about, I don't know, how many pages, Dan? 40 some pages, maybe. It's a long document. So I think I don't know how we want to, but I think the board might need to read
Okay.
it, as opposed to.
Is this something, what is this for, Dan? Is this for the slice of land? Is this for the big thing or?
This would be the primary LPA.
Oh,
So,
okay.
so it's a big
Yeah.
deal, right?
Okay.
And I think it does make sense for you guys to review it and sort of take your time with it. I know we were trying to get it done quickly though, also. So
Yeah.
there's kind of
I think
tension there, but I mean, I guess I can give you just a brief synopsis. So, we did
Sure.
the big deal and we got that all through. And then this is kind of the last piece of it, is that we have to get the LPA approved first by the board, and then it goes to PED, and we have to get them to approve it before it's kind of actual, we'll say, right? And so one of the steps of that is we have to have your board approve it. And you have to approve this kind of funky resolution. And so it's probably just going to make more sense for us to table it, and then, because you haven't had time to really look at the document.
Yeah.
It is a fairly pro forma document, but it is a really large transaction, and so you should take it seriously. And so why don't we just do that, and then we
Okay.
can, probably in between the next two meetings, just do a short meeting.
Sure.
We're probably take like 15 minutes if people have reviewed it in advance. I can have the resolution ready for that as well, and then we can get that approved and then starting to get circulated with the state.
Let's do that. And guys, if you're all okay with that, I mean, this is a really big deal this is kind of the thing that is maybe fundamentally changing us on paper, at least more than anything else, and really opening some doors for us. So if you guys, once Kyle and Julianne have had to take a look and Dan can get, okay. So if we can all do that, and then Dan, Julianne, if you guys just let me know, say, hey, we'd like to do it within the next few days. I mean, I would just send something out. We all just jump on Zoom for 10, 15 minutes. We just need 5 of us, so even if a couple of people can't make it. So does that sound okay? Okay. Thank you, guys. So I will motion to table this LPA, and then we will pick it back up hopefully before our next board meeting, but I will be in touch about that. Do I have a second? Thanks, Terry. All right, Terry, how do you vote? Bryn, Aaron, Ben, and I vote aye. All right. Thank you. Thank you. So the next item on the agenda, I don't know if we're going to get through all of this, but we need to start having this discussion, and I would like us to be, if we don't actually vote to assign people to committees and establish any new committees today, I really would like to be able to do that by the September board meeting, because I think we have been missing out on the benefit of having these extra committees in terms of just ease of work. And then we're also missing out on a couple statutory things, such as Julianne's review. So I'll just fill you in kind of on both of those things. The state requires that we do a review every year of Julianne's job. She is the person that is under our purview, and then she takes care of everything else underneath there. And that process, I haven't participated. I guess, Aaron, maybe you guys did a long time ago, but it's basically requires soliciting feedback on her job performance using a set of questions and a grading scale. Katie is going to help provide us with something that from her other schools that they use.
I was
And
gonna say Missy Brown sometimes in the past has been like, at least in my board training has said, you know, I have these different awards.
okay,
We have evaluated Julianne. I don't know what we used, but like I remember one of our last times we were over in this classroom, she stepped out. We met privately without her.
yep.
And, but I think a set thing that we go off of every year would be consistent.
Yep. And so that's what we need to have. And so we need to establish new or reestablish also who is going to be, so the two committees that we have to have are audit and finance. So we need to discuss now, and I know Rebecca and Bill aren't here, so we're missing percentage-wise a decent amount of our people, but I think we could ask them, we could put them on a committee or ask them if they're willing to do it. So let's just start with this one. We are going to have our audit and finance committees, and I'm going to ask the person who is chairing those to be kind of the one that really takes the lead and makes sure that they're meeting, that they're fulfilling their statute state requirements. Outside of audit and finance, have you guys had a chance to think about potential committees, and do you have an idea, should we have any other committees that we should definitely do, that we should think about doing, that we want to establish today, or that we want to be in the process of establishing? I would ask, I think Katie and Dan could speak to this a little better, but from my understanding, I think the committees are going to allow us to do more work outside of our monthly board meetings. I mean, we could always have more board meetings, but it's setting up the structure where we can kind of do more work outside of it, and then also setting up structure where we can easily bring in other people who are not part of the board to be on the committees. The way I see all these things is everybody in this room and everybody kind of involved in the school, we're all investing in the school. It's our time, and we're sharing in the school, and we're sharing kind of our expertise and our experience. And so, we want the committees allow us to tap into other areas of expertise. One thing that I have thought of that I would like to do, and we can kind of approach this a couple of ways. I want us to have a discussion about this today, but then, if we want, we can just boom, set up a committee today, or we can say, okay, we're going to set it up and then, I'll formalize it all on paper and we vote. But I would like us to have a kind of fundraising / endowment / a committee whose job is ultimately to think about what big picture ways to bring in financial resources to the school outside of our standard state and federal funds that we're getting already. Money is a great equalizer. Money is also kind of a great lubricant and kind of it's a fuel. And I'm not saying that, basically, we're getting, Katie and her team are doing some of the grant work for us, and they have their eye on things that kind of, I don't know, Katie, I would say like fall under, traditional educational grants and stuff like that. But there's a lot out there, and I know this just recently starting a new nonprofit. You forget there's a ton of foundations out there. And one thing, just in my experience doing with my Gallup Youth Sports Fund, what I see and remember is that we are in a very unique part of the country and the world where as many unique challenges we've faced, I mean, I think there is also a heart and a desire to help people out here. And so I think there are funds to be had. And I think a big part of what I would like to see us as an organization be able to do is tap into other geographic areas that are not connected to New Mexico, McKinley County necessarily, but could have an interest here. And because when you tap into a community and we, I don't know, we could have a sister school, a sister town, there's so many ways you can approach, but when you get people caring about who you are and what you're doing, they're so much more willing to open their pocketbook, write a check, and there's big money out there. But we're never just going to start on a Tuesday and get a $1 million grant on a Friday. I mean, it's stuff that takes years. My personal experience has been like with big foundations, like they don't ever want to give you money the first time you apply. They want to look at it. Then they want to see, are you still there coming in the next year and asking, and are you there the year after that and after that? So that was one committee. And I realize that could fall under the purview of finance, but the way I view it is, finance is more accounting and fiduciary. And I would like us to eventually have a committee of people who are thinking about how do we develop other revenue sources for the school. And by revenue, I mean,
And
donation.
the other thing is like Deb does look at grants and she does help write grants. But all that said, she's one person, she can only do so much. And if you guys find the grants and you want help writing them,
Hmm.
she could do that. So
Yeah,
she
so
could do
part of our
some.
contract with Axiom, which I'm sure you've seen before, is we are getting grant writing services. She is working on that. Um, but yeah, there's, and that's, once writing a grant is a skill and, but it's also the more that you do, I think the better you get. So having somebody who's uh, thinking about that stuff all the time. But that's a great point, Katie. But if we're not thinking about it, if we're not putting our own time and energy to it, we are not going to find everything that's possibly out there. And if we don't have a long-term focus and a long-term approach on it, and if we don't have a group of people who are on a regular basis thinking, how do we do this? How do we do this? How do we do this? We're not going to get, everything that we could get. So that's one committee I would like to see us have would be, I don't know how we call it. I don't know if fundraising is the right, because I don't want to like, it could be, a potluck, but I'm really thinking about it from a more kind of continental, countrywide perspective of how do we make Hozho be seen, be known all around the country, and how do we tap into, places of great wealth or large foundations who might be willing to work with us. If you get in with somebody like a Ford Foundation for something, and I don't know how much Ford, I haven't looked at what they've done in a long time, but these foundations that have existed for so long that are very heavily endowed, like it can be hard to get in with them, but once you do, they're amazing. And like financial and other resources they can provide are amazing. And I just don't think it's fair for us to expect Julianne or Katie's team, who are thinking about this stuff, but also have a myriad other responsibilities to kind of look at it in the big, big multi-year horizon viewpoint, like we need to. Um, so that's my suggestion. I think if we're going to do any of these, obviously we need to vote on it, and we can also we can come up with a bit more of a proposal. Do you guys have anything else committee wise that you've thought of? Terry, is there anything that you've seen done before that you think could be helpful to replicate, or anybody else?
So my big curiosity is like finding the need and then filling it there instead of coming up with committees without actually having the direct purpose behind them. Because when you actually start tapping into these grants, it seems like we're gonna have strings attached to them to some extent.
There's always going to, with grants, there's always going to be, with most of them, there's going to be a desire on the part of the grant maker that they are looking to kind of fund some or further some objective. I would just, my view would be that like there is a lot more, if you just like, there's a lot more we could do, with more money.
Yeah, but I mean, it seems
Academics,
like a backwards
athletic.
way of starting, doesn't it? It seems like, I mean, I'd rather find the things where we go, okay, we need more sports equipment. Okay, if we need more sports equipment, how do we actually expand that? That's a goal within itself, trying to fill that. And that's the point where I look at it and go, where are the things? Because, I've been on the board for a year now, same point I came on as you, but I'm looking at it going, okay, where are the actual needs? Because that's a lot easier to go a direction towards instead
So
of.
then, Mark, are you thinking like, okay, so it's sports needs or whatever, so we're gonna channel towards a big corporation like Nike or like something like that?
Well, and again, I feel like when we start getting committees started, I'm a little bit reluctant because I've been involved with stuff like this of just getting something started without having some direct input. And that's why I'm curious with Julianne, if you have Are there actual things that you're looking at and saying, hey, this is a part where the feds or the state do not provide,
I can give you,
touched in with
yeah.
our mission of a classical education that we can actually start looking into and finding the resources for,
I
or are
can-
we just?
yeah. No, I mean, I
That's
think
my point.
my take, and we'll hear it from Julianne, is that we don't hear as much about these things in the board because we're really dealing with what we have like possible at the moment or possible within like the next, couple months. And we're trying to, for a school that's about 8 years old, there's been so much focus necessarily so on how do we keep the lights on,
Yeah.
and how and that we will still need to do that. Like that's always going to need to be a focus. Uh, a good example, another very small thing, and my guess is I can think of many others like this, but that there are tons, especially if we went and started surveying the teachers. A small thing is what we helped out with the back to school teacher thing. We cannot use state funds to purchase food to serve to teachers when we're doing something at like a big
Yeah.
which is crazy. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I get it.
And so I think, that's another thing. So I am receptive to what you're saying. Like you want to start these things with uh like a clearer purview of what we want to do and why. What is the problem? What are we solving for?
Yes.
I think maybe I just have a little more confidence that there is a problem and that it just maybe hasn't been fleshed out for the board as
Well, and that's what I'd like to do if we're actually running into stuff. And again, with, you're running the school, Julianne, so you have a direct input on this stuff. And so if you want help in that aspect, it's just, I'm more curious to see where the help is needed and where we can actually direct resources towards, because I just feel like there's a lot of organizations that come up with, doing what everybody else does, and it loses sight of what the purpose is.
Mm,
And that's the thing that I really want to nail down, because again, I've got limited time. I know everybody else has got limited
Mhm.
time here. And so if you can actually direct your resources and your skill sets to the things that you are actually good at, then it gets a lot more accomplished versus, yeah, I don't know, some other school has a finance committee. We should have one too. Seems like
we have to have a finance.
Okay, not a finance committee, I mean, a fundraising committee.
Yep.
I'm just trying to figure out where the needs are so that we can actually do the best job possible instead of just doing the blanket solution, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think, one thing that is, a vast unending bucket is facilities.
Okay,
It is bazillions of dollars to do, like, we will never, I can't imagine, there's never been a time when we've had too much space. And so, that, now that we're working on the LPA, we may be able to get into some capital funds, but there's a lot of, we have people who are in closets and, we don't have enough. It's like we can do fundraising for football equipment, like you mentioned, but, whether we get that funding or not get that funding, it's not gonna change the major
that
rushing
aspect, yeah.
problem is space.
That's why we need like the big money.
Yeah, I think that's like, we need the big money, but I also think there are opportunities out there. This is not like calling people in Gallup or, like selling,
Yeah.
we're not doing a bake sale. This is like reaching out to big donors who are in, support of our mission in the Southwest. So, for example, the Hillsdale Connection, we need to own the Southwest. There is no other Bonnie charter school currently right now in the Southwest, so we should own it. And any donors that are in that area who wanting to make a donation to a school, rather than we just got that bluebird that came in and dropped some money for us from Kansas,
Mhm.
because he saw that publication that had our name in it, and he decided to write us several thousands of dollars in donations just out of the blue. Didn't even know anything about our school. So there's a lot of untapped resources out there, especially what we're doing and where we're doing it. I think there's a lot to it. And the other aspect of that is getting the word out about who we are and what we do. I'm not sure if it's just fundraising all the time, but it's like developing ourselves. Like
It's market. I mean, like it is marketing. you.
And that's a lot of help. We have tried, I've had people come in, we've tried to develop elevator pitches. There's a lot of work to be done, but maybe.
But you need, yeah, it needs that consistency of effort. It's pretty easy to identify like what, how do we want to market ourselves? But, we can ask the teachers, like, go home and spend an hour every week marketing the school. Like, I don't think
No,
that's
no, and I'm just
there.
curious because again, that's the first time that's come up within the discussions of being like, this is something that's a consistent aspect of
Mm.
space and actually, infrastructure.
Yeah, and then if you
to do
just,
The thing is that gives an actual direction to it, because again, when we're talking about this in the vague aspect,
Mhm.
are we talking about football equipment or are we talking about something much more serious? Are we talking about
Yeah.
art and supplies for teachers that are bringing their
But-
own stuff, or are we talking about, because it's just, it's a
That's another,
different aspect
yeah.
that we're
That's
looking
another
at.
component. I think the other thing you can't underestimate is like we want our classrooms and we want our teachers to have access to kind of the best resources. But if you look at like that whiteboard, like if we wanted to put one of those in every classroom, which doesn't sound like that much, but like that would be tens of thousands, if not $100,000. Like to do something to get, like I would say there's probably schools like where every teacher has a very easy to use screen in their classroom and that they can just show up, like pop stuff up from their computer. And, we got a couple new TVs this year, but like we can't so that my view is that there is just these layers upon layers of things that we could do that would enhance the educational experience, enhance like the student experience, enhance the, tools at disposal to our teachers, to our coaches, to our, you know, uh, or something like which we want to do, but like we don't have a band, like, something like that, which, and maybe there's band funding out there, like, but I think we'd love to have a music component. And I think all those things, if we had, and I think Julianne, you guys both make, like, it is like maybe finance related, but I think also just like it, reputation, marketing, who we are, and how do we get, because we are doing something special. I am absolutely, like, beyond a doubt convinced of that, and I think we are doing something that, compared to like any other, new school around the country, has the capability to change lives in a pretty profound way if we can continue growing like this and offering all that we want to offer. Uh, but we're gonna need resources for that. And I think thinking about those big picture things, and it doesn't just have to be in relation to financing, but just thinking about you have to, when you run a nonprofit, like you have to think like a business. You have to
Yes.
think like, how do we, and you know, I would, it's almost to a point like where it doesn't, like, people, we live in a small town, there's going to be people who love Hozho, there's going to be people who hate it. And that dynamic will always exist. But that doesn't change how we kind of market ourselves or who are we. We want the country, we want the world to kind of know where we are, what we're doing, who we are, and why. Um, so I think all that stuff starts to tie together. Um, and so maybe it's not like, maybe the fundraising committee isn't the right, the exact right thing, but I think this idea of getting the board involved with this big picture stuff, because we're always going to be here every month and we're going to be looking at
Yeah.
where do we spend money last month? What do we need to spend money on? What do we have? Is there anything a little bit left over? But so but I'll work and kind of flesh that one out um, a little more. But I do want to think. I want to think even within our audit and finance, which we'll always have, like, what can we have? And I want to use this as a way to also bring people in from the outside. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I tried just like researching, because like this type of thing is still so big to me.
Mhm.
I don't feel like I know anybody that like nor am I like that corporate woman person to go and like meet with people, my focus is just somewhere different.
Yeah.
But I just like Googled and just researched, and this Stanton Foundation gave $1 million to support American classical education. This couple did, and it says, our new charter school initiative is an outreach program in Hillsdale devoted to revitalizing public education through the launch and support of classical education. Recently, the Stanton Foundation, nonprofit organization, pledged $1 million to the American Classical Education Initiative. So like, are we in competition with Hillsdale? Because that would be
No.
like Barney Charter. I mean,
Mm.
because you're like, hey, I know you did $1 million, but could you do like 20,000 to us? Or
Yeah.
like, you know.
But I think that's like a big part of it. Like when I try and find grants for my nonprofit, I look at who else is around here. Like I've got some friends in Austin, and there's a nonprofit there that's even a little bit more narrow. They're just strictly focused on shoes, but it's so beautiful. It's just like we're gonna get kids whatever sport they want to play, whatever thing they want to, because it's expensive. You got to get basketball shoes and soccer cleats, and I love that idea. But it's like they're like, okay, who's giving these shoe guys money? And it's, but if you are not intentional about it, nothing happens. And I think that's kind of points to what you're saying, because you can't just be like, oh, let's go find some money. There's money out there.
Well, and I'm just looking at, because like working for the Southwest Indian Foundation, I mean, we're applying for grants all the time, but it's very specific grants, and we have a direction towards it. Like my whole program is, housing for Native Americans on the reservation, impoverished Native Americans. That narrows down your field of
Mhm.
search to very specific, criteria of who you ask money for, which, organizations you're going to money for, what federal grants you can ask for. And I'm more curious on the level of like, within the school, okay, we're looking for infrastructure or more buildings because there's never enough space. Do we have an actual cap limit of like, this school will get to this big before we go, actually, this is the most that we can handle? Because that's, I'd like to have a little bit of direction, because again, I grew up with the classical education, and I mean, for classical education, this is huge in comparison to most of the schools. So the realistic thing of like, what can we actually incorporate and what can we offer
Mhm.
without diluting the education, I think is really important to look at too, because I find when I look at stuff, when people are just going around, and you're just looking for money, it seems like the mission statement and the actual goal that you're striving towards can get diluted if you're not really careful about what are we actually trying to provide to the community. And that's something that I'm like, want to stay focused
Yeah.
on to some extent.
And I think, I think we need to do a better job of kind of being in touch with that as a board.
Yeah.
I think Julianne and her team, they've got their finger on it. And
Yeah.
That's education with the resources that.
Yeah.
So we have a gap in enrollment, don't see that increasing. So I feel like we were also talking about what's our strategic plan. So where are we going? So it's all kind of tied together with this idea that we need to be able to encapsulate what we're doing, how we're doing it, what we want to do, how we're going to accomplish it, and what tools we need to get there. But Hillsdale does offer board training and even pencil training. I took the pencil training on like development director kinds of things and things that have been successful for other Bonnie schools and methods to do that. So we don't have to start from ground zero. We do have some things that we can connect with. It's just finding the time.
yeah, and we might, in the near future be looking, is there a way we can bring somebody already working here, getting, working on more like a foundational focus? That is something that's kind of been on our minds, like, because we know, I mean, that can be it could speed up getting us to where we want to be. And I think it's fair to express some concern, like, because you've done it. If you look at a grant, you're like, well, we weren't really thinking about doing that, but that seems like we could get that. Should we do this? And I think there's absolutely ways to do that without compromising kind of who you are. Because grants, that stuff, you do have to you have to appeal to what they're trying to do. But I feel like there are ways to do that easily without losing your identity. Because at the end of the day, I don't think, we are going to always be a public school. I mean, I think
Yep.
the majority of our funding is always going to come from the public sources,
Yep.
which are, to me, it's really just more about like, I mean, how kind of comfortable can we make it for everybody? And that's got space questions, that's an amenity question, but it's like, I do think that stuff matters. And I think it matters to like, I would love to get we're just taking over our own food program, and that, it would be awesome to like, I'm sure there's money out there that we could, appeal to, and maybe like it means we have to like have one vegan day a week, like, if that's what it takes, and we can make some really nice vegan food and it's going to cover 50% of our food budget, like I'm going to compromise on that, or
Yeah, yeah.
So, Gabe, sorry to interrupt, guys.
Yeah.
I unfortunately I have to go deal with
Okay.
children in about 20 minutes. So
All
I
right,
just
let's
I just wanted to see if there's, I know we have the finance thing and I know
why don't
Julian's report,
you
but do we
yes,
want to talk about what we talked about today, Gabe?
yes, so okay, all right, so this is cycling into the, so let's table the idea of voting on any new committees for today. But I would say that we are going to, in the September meeting, going to reassign committee positions for audit and finance. So either let me know if you'd like to do that, or let me know if you definitely don't want to do that, and I will try and then also let me know if anybody has a thought on non-board members we could consider adding to those committees.
To the finance and all.
Well, I think audit is supposed to have a teacher or something. I can't remember.
It's okay. For the board, it just needs, I mean, we can get a like parent volunteer and a finance expert. But for the board, it doesn't matter. It just needs to be, we just need like 2 board members.
Okay. So let's just quick table this one then. But I'm going to be in touch. If you want to speak up on anything, I would love for somebody to come up and be like, oh, we should have this committee. It can be small in focus, as long as it is something that where it would be beneficial to have a dedicated group of people working outside the board on it. I'm all for it. And I think, to Ben's point, I think as long as it's like, has a defined mission and is meeting a defined need, then I'm all for it. So I'll motion to table the committee discussions for now. And do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thanks, Bryn. All right, Terry, Bryn, Aaron, Ben,
Aye.
and I vote aye. Okay, so we're going to skip ahead quickly to the finance report. So one thing that I do want to bring up, that I do want us to consider, and then Katie, if you can also help kind of talk about, is do that and then go through the check regs. But the part I wanted to talk about and that I want Katie's input on is I want us to take a look at Julianne's compensation and consider adjusting that. And the main reason that I want to do this is because Julianne has been here for about 8 years now. And what we brought her here to do 8 years ago, I mean, like, what we told her she would be doing, but it has grown quite different from what she was doing 8 years ago to what she's doing now. And I do not think that we've ever really looked at or adjusted her compensation outside of the kind of small year-to-year percentage increases. So I would just say also that I want to start with Julianne. I've also asked Julianne to go to her principals, and I would like to start looking at their compensations, because we are now a full K through 12 school, and we are now pre-K through 12. Yeah, I do actually write pre-K through 12 when I write that. And Julianne, I guess, and I don't know, there is obviously an important difference, but I see Julianne as doing kind of a superintendent level work. This is overseeing, what are we, over 8? What are we, 7? How many kids are we now?
750.
8. Jeez. Yeah. So I have done a lot of research into what principals and superintendents are making kind of in the region. Admittedly, there aren't like tons and tons of data points, but I would give an example. What is your salary now? Do you know?
140.
Yeah. Okay. So I'll give example that her salary now is about $20,000 or $25,000 below what the principal at middle college is making for maybe like a quarter of the students and not as many of the grades. And I will again, you'll probably hear me say this all the time, but I believe when we look at things like this, we are a nonprofit and we are serving the community. And so we need to be cognizant of that. But I don't want us to ever be in a situation where we are paying somebody, you shouldn't pay somebody less because they're passionate about the mission or because we are not a profit-making business. I think we need to look at what are the comparables in the market. And so the comparables for me on this are closer to 175, probably around in that region at least. And it's never been addressed. I do think so. I would like to look at this now just because I feel like it's been left. I think we also have to think about, or at least consider, if Julianne is driving to San Francisco this weekend and her and Keith get lost and they end up on a deserted island and somehow never can come back. What would we have to consider paying
Get somebody else.
to get somebody else? What would we, and again, I would say, I would imagine it would be somewhere in that region. So we can talk about, I think I feel pretty clearly on this, but this is a group discussion and a group decision. So, if you, I don't know. Well,
Anytime I review.
yes, yeah, well, but
Thing to pay for.
Katie,
We'll just make everyone $1 million. No, I mean, if we could, given I see all the work that Julian does, I see all the work Kyle does, I see all the work all of them do, and I would love to increase their salaries, but we do have budget limitations. And so, the salary that Julianne is at now is essentially we took her level 3 teacher, increased it by the multiplier, which is in statute, and then she's been receiving, the 3 and 4% increases since. So, I think, creating a rubric to really understand more of what Julian does outside just the normal scope, which I think is what that multiplier kind of entails. And then using that to kind of create a range for the salary, given the number of students and the complexity of work that Julianne does. And I am working on getting you all a rubric for the review, and I think that it will help drive a lot of this. So I would say that, yeah, so I think there is a way to do this, a systematic way to do this, and think through what's the best way to do the increase given the scope of work that she does.
Are there stuff set in stone with the state on salaries like that with
I
teachers?
didn't hear him.
he's asking, is there anything with the state where it's kind of set in stone, like teachers can only make this much or principal can only make this much or anything like that?
There are minimums, there are no maximums.
I'll just jump in on that as well. I mean, I represent a lot of schools, Katie does as well. The way that the state's budget works, it's pretty hard to pay teachers and staff much more than the minimums, right? Like it's really most of your budget is going to be directed towards staffing costs. And so it's just hard to deviate from that based on the money you receive. And the other thing I would just encourage you to do in terms of Julianne's pay is, and I know this is a meeting that's being recorded. I like Rob Hunter as a person. He's an outlier in terms of pay for, particularly given the size of that school. And so I wouldn't necessarily benchmark just off of him. And I
Yeah.
know that you're
I agree
authorized,
with that.
the
It's also,
PED is looking at administrator pay, head administrator pay. And I mean, my speculation is he's one of the ones that's driving that kind of look, because they don't, their view is like, we shouldn't have fat cat administrators, like pay them enough. And there's been some other administrators at other schools making like 200. Again, those are outliers. Like I would say, and Katie can jump in on this, like 160 is pretty high now. like maybe 150 is kind of the midpoint, although it's kind of crept up the last 5 years, but like 145, 150 seems to be like the going rate to me, but you have a large school, so it might justify a little bit more, but I don't know. That's just my perspective.
Okay,
Yeah.
thanks, Dan.
And also what we could do is we could do some kind of, I mean, all salaries are public information, so we
Yeah,
could do
that's also
something.
why, like, Terry had a question.
And Dan, I mean, I don't know the statutes or any of the laws on this, but are there ulterior or alternative ways to help Ms. Hillock in
Yeah, that's a
lieu
good
or
question.
in along with a raise, so are there other types of incentives that might be offered to her at a different level? Or let's just take, for instance, student loans, right? If someone has student loans, is there a provision that we might be able to help her with those?
Yeah, that's a great question, Terry, and I guess one I had too, like, and are there ways, obviously, like, we're doing something small with our teachers where we're incentivizing them not taking that, not taking more than 2 days of PTO, and saying that can be, we can, are there broader ways? Because the way I would do it when I had employees is I would have somebody on a base comp level, and then I would try and provide, 15 to 25% of their base available to them in a bonus that I can give out if they perform well in a given year. And I know we're school, so
We can't do. Yeah, the
but
whole
are
bonus
there, like,
thing we
can we
can't.
offer, like, as a comp structure, like, anything
Yeah.
outside of just base
So,
comp?
so
Or
I
is
think what we need to do, and I'm sorry I wasn't able to pull this together between the time we talked and now, but is I can look at, at least the public salaries I have access to.
Okay.
And I can also put the number of kids that are there. And at least that gives you kind of a starting point of an average. And
Mm,
then from that average, Hozho is super unique. We just, essentially did a bond and is pretty much did it on our own. And with the team that is here, Dan and Julianne and everyone, but other schools like have actually like someone holding their hand throughout it, and we didn't. And so I do think, and you guys have an athletics department, we're building a dome, like the list goes on and on. And so, there is room for you all to then make that decision based on those other activities. And I think that is where the review comes in, because that's where that will show. And so when we put those two together, the analysis and then your review, I think then coming to whatever you all feel is fair it makes sense. And something Gabe and I talked about, the budget can only, tolerate so much. And so that's something else that we can look at whenever you guys feel like you have a range you want to look at.
okay. So, and I guess that I would just say in general is, like, Julianne's obviously our closest point of contact, and I want to make sure that we're properly providing for her, and we're not. I don't think anyone's taking care of her kindness or her love for the school, but we just have to. I want us to be thinking about what is this role worth to us? What would it cost us to find a replacement, and then also, though, long term. I know there will probably never be a way to fully do this within the budget that we get from the state and whatnot, but I have this vision. I would love to Hojo to be this place that's like, those guys pay their teachers great. Like, that is a place where you can go. The teachers at my high school are all making, mid 100s, or more, just to be a teacher. And people will line up for years. They will angle for years to get a job at that school because it's a great place to teach and you make a lot of money. And
We started Hojo in our beginning years was, we wanted to attract.
And I think we are, like, I think our levels, I assume, are a little, like, higher than, you know,
They are. We do actually have higher,
but
given some of the funding yeah, we do have higher salary schedule.
so I just wanted us to start thinking about that now. Katie can provide us with some numbers, but I think where I'm at, but let's take a look at that, and that's something I would like to be able to take action on pretty soon. Um, Katie, do you have any other part of the finance report you want to go over with us now before you jump off?
No, I mean, I looked at the, I sent it out to everyone, and I just wanted to I'll just flag kind of three things. The first is the income statement that was in there, which was the first page of the packet I sent. It had our net operating at 366,000, but that, remember, is only all that's the revenue and all the expenses just for last fiscal year. So that's about where we landed. But that
And
doesn't
this is done,
include,
or that's mostly done.
yeah, that doesn't include accounts payable and accounts receivable. But those two somewhat offset each other. Actually, AR is probably a little higher. And also this includes a lot of FY24 expenses that we couldn't pay for in FY24 and carried over into FY25. So our expenses are a little inflated in this. So but I just wanted to give you guys kind of a land of where we ended last year.
Great though. I mean, that's
Yeah.
like to be at 366 is great.
Yeah, yes. Yeah. And then the balance sheet, it tells a similar story. And it tells, how we had a lot of liabilities at the end of the year, but those are all payroll liabilities. And that's very normal for us because we have such a big staff. So overall, I think we're doing well, and we're continuing to get the auditor stuff, and as soon as we have those audited financials, which will be probably in January or February, we'll share those with you. So these are unaudited financials, just so you know, but you have a sense of where we might end the year. And then when we look at this year, Julianne was kind enough to spend a lot of time with me, and we went through payroll person by person by person to make sure that we had it right. And we made some other adjustments like the rent increase, which we had talked about for the other property, because we're going to include utilities there, and also made a few updates to some of our funding sources. So overall, the picture has not changed that much from the budget. We approved a budget with essentially 1.1 as our net operating. We're looking at a net operating of about 1 million, almost 1.1. And then that fund balance is the big difference. And so if we actually get a fund balance, if all AP and AR come in and they exclude the AP from last year, then, I think we're going to have a fund balance around $700,000. But that is still very to be determined based on the audit. So right now I would focus on that 1,097,000 number. And then when we get the audited financials, I'll update your beginning balance, and then we'll have a better sense of where our fund balance is.
When do you think when will this all be put to bed? When does the last year get?
We sign off on audited financials in November, and then we share them with everyone in January or February because the state auditor has to review them.
Just makes it feel never ending. It's just
Oh,
like,
yeah. And the second you're done with the audit, and then the second you're done explaining the audit to everyone, you start the next audit. I don't really do forecasting and financials. I do audits. That's my job.
yeah.
So it is never ending.
Okay. Uh, uh, awesome. Well, thank you. Does anyone have any questions for Katie before she takes off?
Nope.
All right. Well, Katie, thanks for being with us. We will hopefully see you in person next
Yeah.
month.
Yes, I'm really trying to get there in September. So, and I know those teachers need their bagels. So,
Yeah.
hopefully it will come. All right. I will talk to you guys later.
Hey, thanks, Katie.
Bye, guys.
All right. Okay, so last two things we need to go over are principal report and then a construction report. Do you want me to do the construction or do you want to go? Okay. Okay. So originally the plan was for us to have Kyle here to give us a report in person. It turns out that this is basically the busiest week of maybe Kyle's life because we are about to take the Hozho football team to San Francisco this weekend for a game against the Menlo School. Julianne's going. I'm going to go. Keith's going to go. So what Kyle has done for us is kind of written a little bit of an update, which I'm basically going to read to you. I'm going to try and get him here next time or the time after that so that he can be here in person. But you see what's going on. And so I'm going to read his notes. If you have any questions, Julianne or I can try to answer, but then also if you think of anything between now and the next meeting, you can always send it to me and I can get Kyle to answer quickly. So, all right. So good evening, Hozho Academy Governing Board. I'm excited to provide some updates on our current facilities projects. First one is junior high campus. 2 portable classrooms were moved and installed this summer, which have added 4 additional classroom spaces for our preschool and junior high. One portable is being used exclusively for pre-K. The other now holds the 2 6th grade classrooms. Along with the portables, the multi-purpose room offices were converted into 1 additional pre-K classrooms. So is that the portables that were sitting out there before that we moved over? Okay. You guys remember those? Yeah. Site improvements at junior high. The sidewalks and an outdoor basketball court were poured along with landscaping improvements. Additional parking areas were created to the west of our junior high campus. Overall, the campus is functioning much better and looking much better. We are awaiting a final invoice for the work to be done here at the junior high, but we are using grant funds from the Daniels Fund for this project. ADA walkways, always challenging to get that right. Fire alarm, low voltage systems were all completed. We added HVAC system upgrades to the portables and the multi-purpose room. The main campus. Major earthwork improvements. The hill between the elementary and high school has been completely removed. The dirt was moved and compacted at the site of the future football stadium, which is like closer over towards the sports complex. The contractor was able to complete more earthwork than he initially estimated under the bond contract and was under budget. You don't hear that. You don't hear that one all the time. However, more cost was accrued with some of the temporary site work. Playground relocation, no, just focus on the first part. Sidewalk between the high school and elementary school, relocation of fiber link between buildings, etc. Currently, the project is moving faster than initially estimated and is right at or just under initial budget estimates. The initial kitchen cafeteria site work has been completed, engineered backfill, poured, and compacted. We will submit this cost to the state as soon as the LPA is approved. That's why it's important to get that done. And we are allowed to access the grant funds. If this goes according to plan, we will spend more on the kitchen with materials, equipments from the grant. Campus transition. The contractor expects to do the campus transition the week of September 8th. This will involve closing the west and north elementary parking areas and opening up the temporary parking areas and driveway loop between buildings. This will also open up a bus loading drop-off zone in the southwest corner of the property. Our school will operate under this pattern for the majority of the school year. Dome site excavation and preparation will begin shortly after this transition, along with significant earthwork in the north parking lot. The parent pickup and drop-off loop, along with the temporary playground, will be in the area between buildings. Yes. Well, once you move the well.
Welcome to construction.
GLP property acquisition. We are trying to find a path forward as quickly as possible to acquire some property from GLP. Do you guys familiar with Gallup Land Partners? I'll tell you more about it in a minute. To the south of our campus. We need a minimum of 2 acres, but ideally 4 to be able to shift our fields slightly to the south, thus being able to avoid a costly retaining wall along the north side of the project. They are hoping to do a short-term lease, then transition to a purchase or lease purchase agreement after 2 years. I can explain more where we're at in the negotiations. The contractor is desperate for this to happen sooner rather than later. That would be Matt. He anticipates that it will save $100,000 in the immediate construction budget and potentially as much as $1.5 million in future construction costs if we're able to get this done. I'm trying to coordinate a meeting with our attorney and GLP to find a path forward. If we want to buy the property outright, they want $180,000 for 4 acres. It is landlocked, inaccessible, full of old mine shafts. There's no way it would appraise for that much. To date, we have spent $2.185 million on the project, with just over $1 million being the down payment on the dome, out of the total $11.9 million of the initial construction project. Please let me know if there are questions. I would prefer to answer via email. I will have practice till 6:30 tonight and then go to the city council meeting. But with we'll see if anyone else is able to. No, maybe he got Keith to go. So the one thing I can fill you in a little bit more on is the GLP property and what we're trying to do there. And I think I am hopeful. So basically, if you look kind of, yeah, it's out that way. So along the kind of the edge of the property that is closer going up to the sheriff's office or whatever that is, that sheriff up there, there is about a 250-foot wide strip of land that in total, I mean, I think the ideal piece would be closer to 3 or 4 acres, but basically that if we find a way that we can acquire this land, it would potentially save us from having to build a $1.5 million retaining wall to support the project.
To our.
It would, yes. Yeah, we run up against. So here we go. Let me just make a really bad map. So say if like these are the sports complex fields here, see this?
Yeah.
And then like the football field is like, it's gonna be like our like area is here. It is a sliver of land. It just goes like along that way, basically. It's like really, that's just terrible. It's like really, it's really a skinny little piece of land. But we're trying to put a football field and a baseball field up there if we can. And if we don't, you know, if we have that extra piece of land, we wouldn't have to build the wall because then we could go that much further out. So Kyle and I have met with the Gallup land partner representative in town. He's a guy named Christopher Thomas, I think. No,
Not O'Malley?
no, why? I do business with a guy named Christopher Thomas in China. No, maybe it is. That's guy used to run Intel in China. Yeah, Christopher Thomas. Yeah. Second Christopher Thomas. I love talking to him. I thought he was a fascinating guy. He seemed very interested in working with us and trying to help us. You know, Gallup Land Partners owns about 26,000 acres around here, around Gallup, stretching out. They're working on stuff that I think is really important and impactful for our town, kind of bringing some manufacturing, bringing jobs basically. And so he has this really big vision of what the community can grow to become, and he sees something like Hozho and is like, if I'm trying to get people to move from Phoenix or Salt Lake City or whatever to come to Gallup, like we need something elite academically to show them. And that's why I think, you know, and they also just you know, like our mission. So both of us though, you know, there's limits on how we can do this. It has to be structured, you know, in an appropriate way. But you know, Kyle is working on that. I'm involved in it. I think Kyle's getting Dan involved in, and you know, I think Matt would like this figured out like yesterday.
Where is it, dude?
So it's just right here. Oh, sorry.
Right there.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I don't know exactly, but yeah. If you guys want, not
Do
this.
we have the final blueprints? I never actually received those for the new campus. No, we don't have them.
We saw that rendering.
So if you guys want, we could go out and have Kyle and Matt give us a tour of what they're doing and where sometime. You know, it's a
So
So, yeah, so it kind of goes like.
it's funny, it's not actually showing us by GLP, unless it's this chunk here.
yeah, that's that. So right there. So like, see that?
little strip.
Yep. Yeah. So it's this right along there. Yep.
They wanted 180 for.
I'll tell you.
No, it's just the strip. It'd be a chunk right on this back end.
Yep.
The tricky thing with that is I'll see all those paths right there that the city has, that people go run and exercise on those paths, and they have kind of like equipment. They have like.
All this stuff here.
Mhm. So that might be a little bit.
Yeah, there's a couple other variables going on that maybe.
Even though we're doing.
Yeah.
There's a lot more people that.
Yeah, but we're hopeful we can find a good solution, and we're working on it. And so far, nothing has come up that says, "Oh, this is going to be impossible." It just is going to take a little bit of time to do. So, but I think all involved kind of know the parameters of what needs to get done, and now it's just a question of working towards that. But overall, you know, I don't know. I'm gonna curse us, but like to be ahead, like when did we originally think we were going to make the transition? December. And now we're making it September 8th. So that's good.
Very good.
Yeah.
Construction.
Yeah. So yeah, so that is the that's kind of the construction update. I'm gonna try to provide something like that or have Kyle here.
Question. like,
Yes.
I've been curious about, so is our football field gonna be the size of an actual football field?
Yes.
You know, it will. And then, but our dome is not.
That's practice.
Okay.
The dome is for practice.
Okay, but we still don't have a track around the dome, right?
No.
Like, we don't have, because we don't have the space for that.
With the track around the football.
But people are, well, I don't know if they're really going with like ideally you would not do both of those. Like the track around the football field takes away from the foot. I mean, it does serve like two purposes, but
We just don't have a track for all of our track,
mm,
you know, so it's like everything that we do, we have to go elsewhere. For
Yeah.
track, all of our track events. So I was just thinking like, gosh, if we're doing this, is there a way to do it right and not just have
those are,
a strip of jeans?
it's, I don't know I don't know offhand the actual cost, but what I've heard about it, but like shockingly more expensive than you'd think just to do the,
And there's not, they've mapped out the space and
yeah. Have you been inside of one of the domes before though?
Seen, the college in Colorado, they have it, they have.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say like every major university has one for their athletics. Colorado State.
Big,
Mm,
big, right? And it's pretty cool, but yeah, I was just curious, like,
it will be an amazing thing for the community. I mean, just for our school, but all, it's just like, I mean, there's one in my hometown that Tommy went to this summer for soccer camp, and they're just so cool. So, all right, Julianne, do you have a principal's report for us?
So enrollment right now is gonna land, 850, that's sort of our target because of requirements in the bond. 57% Native American.
That's up, isn't it?
74% overall minority, 226 on the wait list. We have one open position in junior high. Ms. Martinez left, and we don't really know why. She said for personal reasons, so don't really know.
Do you,
She taught writing.
Julianne, do you want to send me
Can't put a small
information for
tray,
that
yeah.
opening? Cause I got a bunch of contacts for people that might be interested.
And I've already had a couple people even apply, so
Huh.
it'll be good. The other thing is we received our preliminary report.
Oh, yeah.
From the Fed.
Is it no longer embargoed or?
No, that this.
Oh, this is-
preliminary.
Oh, okay.
It doesn't include any of the data, which once that comes out, really looking forward to that being no longer.
Okay.
So.
That day has not come though. It's-
Should. I think I've thought about that and read about that a few times. So we are graded by the charter school division and it's submitted to the officer. So this is the performance framework.
Mm.
So, green is good. They gave us one yellow saying that, something wasn't done, which it was. I submitted that and that is been taken care of. This red here is good counting. We already know, we've already been through that. We've been before the public education.
We're still,
12 years down.
we're still paying for that.
It's perfect.
And then, this other red up here is for, when the board has to submit their stuff for the PEC for approval. It didn't. in time.
wait, so what?
That's-
stuff, like our classes? Our
When we
curriculum?
added.
When we added-
Isaac and Terry.
Man, this stuff lags.
So when we added them to the board, our paperwork didn't go in.
Mm.
So
You get 30
we
days.
should have just.
It seems so hyper. No,
It doesn't matter, but it shows up in minutes. So,
so hyper specific.
so eventually I did submit it, and this past time, with bills, we had Dan and his crew submit it. So hopefully.
So that
we
should
have
be
the window.
okay.
But it's just whenever there's things like that, we just have to. It's black and white. Is it on time? Was it not on time?
All right. Yeah, so I think that's good. I think Dan, do you have anything else? I think you sent us a thing. So Dan, I'm just gonna I don't want us to be waiting for the next board meeting. If we need, if we're ready and we want to get it doing, you guys just let me know and I'll gather the board.
I'll work with Leanne and Kyle, and then we'll just send out when we're ready, and we just need 72 hours for the board meeting.
Okay. Yep. Oh yeah. So we'll have to do the notice and yep. Okay. Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you. Thanks, guys. Terry. Oh, let us adjourn. Let's let Dan go get some dinner. Yeah. Yeah. Thanks, Dan.
Night, everyone.
Bye.